So I panicked and I stabbed her. Or I tried to shut her up.
Interrogation confessions.
I shot him right here. I gave him his nose job. He wanted.
The shocking moments that sometimes can only come when a criminal is face to face with law enforcement in a small room.
I think I went a little too far because, I was blacking out while I was doing it, right?
I know you're looking directly at me, aren't you? The information I gave is not worth $6. It's worth a lot more.
We're breaking down some of the most memorable interrogation confessions caught on tape. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Everybody loves a self-made success story, but John Morgan says that is not how real life works. The great John Morgan, everybody. In his new book, Life is Luck, the founder of Morgan & Morgan gets real about the role that luck plays in success and how to recognize opportunity when it shows up.
And that seed was just lucky.
From delivering newspapers as a kid to building America's largest injury law firm, Morgan shares the moments that changed everything.
It's a how-to book to approach life, luck, and ultimately success.
This isn't another billionaire memoir full of cheesy advice. It's honest, blunt, and packed with lessons on turning good luck and bad luck into something bigger. I hope people read it. I hope people appreciate it. Buy Life is Luck now on Amazon at forthepeople.com/lifeisluck. The interrogation room. It's a place where really anything can happen when you think about it. We've seen it time and time again. And that is what I want to get into right now. We've seen the confessions, we've seen the admissions, moments that have radically changed the case for a criminal defendant. So with that in mind, we're going to explore some of those moments.
I pushed my way in, I handcuffed her, I tied her up, and then we just drove up the mafia.
We begin with Richard Cottingham. That's who you see, a serial killer. Now almost 80 years old, serving 3 life sentences for 5 murders. This is a guy who is claimed to be responsible for dozens and dozens and dozens of killings, known as the Torso Killer, operating officially in New York and New Jersey for years, maybe other states as well. He was arrested back in 1980. And what you're watching, okay, is really just a shocking confession from 2014.
It's a lot of years of running around.
A lot of states still.
Yeah. Do you have a number in your head that you think? Did you ever sit back and think about it?
It's sad to say I couldn't count that high. They start to get jumbled. I would say it's well over 80.
You think that many?
Well over. I've done some in Florida, Connecticut, a lot in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Baltimore. Any place within driving distance that was not connected to me, I would try. My whole thing was not to make a pattern, which I never did. And never to try to kill them the exact same way or to, leave a signature. I wasn't stupid, and other than that one time in Hackensack where just luck, I would have been caught there.
Right.
I was never even close to getting caught, other than that one time.
I mean, he was caught in 1980. Apparently, he checked into a motel in New Jersey with a sex worker that he was sexually abusing and torturing her. The staff heard, called police, he was arrested, and that's when they started investigating and connected him to all of these other killings. But I just want you to listen to this part, because he doesn't think he's a serial killer.
That was the thing with me. I wasn't a serial killer. No,
You just told me you think you killed over 80. That fits the definition pretty well.
No, it doesn't.
But I know what you say, because you've told me in the past. There's been many more that you let go.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
I didn't go out to kill somebody. Most anyone I killed was when I would be somehow connected to them, and I didn't want to get caught. It was more than just not getting caught.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. But just to be clear, this isn't a vicious serial killer?
You mentioned you stabbed her. Do you know for sure
Yeah.
how many times you stabbed her or anything? like that?
One time,
Okay.
right in the face.
Oh, it was definitely in the face.
Because
Okay.
she was screaming, I just panicked.
Do you remember specifically with her?
No.
Okay. So you're just kind of guessing because
No,
you're
no.
going
I'm saying front, when
you're going
I
on
say
a roll of
front-
averages.
Yeah, I mean, I know she wasn't shot, I didn't shoot,
Yeah, no, I know that.
things like that,
Well, like the girl up here, you stabbed, which is not, not your...
That was very unique, and that's only because I panicked. I didn't intend to, and it was a steak knife. It was a steak knife, and the knife broke. That's another fact. If you find the incident, you'll see.
Okay.
That it wasn't a regular knife like a guy. It was a steak knife from one of the places we stopped at.
And the way he describes the victims, it's like hard to process. My gosh.
You love dark hair.
The funny thing is, most of my victims died, but I like blonde too. And it was the game to get, most times we went out drinking, I'd get them drinking, get them drunk, get them in a room, have all the sex, and what, never paid them. And that was the majority of the thing, to beat them out of their money, because they were going to try to beat me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a case right here, right on Route 46. I had a girl in there. She was so greedy. She took she was naked from the waist up. She grabbed my pants and ran out of the room with my pants and left her shirt behind. And she runs right into a guy next door. He opens the door. He heard the noise.
You thought she was stealing your wallet? Or stealing your cash?
She was.
Yeah.
She grabbed it. She got about $1,100 from me. So the only one that ever got away. Got my money. Out of all of them.
Chilling, to say the least. But I want to move on. Okay, we go from Richard Cottingham to now, let's talk Shayna Hubers.
Actually, I'm right here. I gave him his nut job. He wanted.
Yep, so not a serial killer, but that is her admitting to authorities that she shot and killed 29-year-old Ryan Poston back in October of 2012 at his home out in Ohio. Shot 6 times by Hubers, his on-again, off-again love interest. And it turns out, the same night that he was shot and killed, he was supposed to go on a date with Miss Ohio, Audrey Bolte. And from the initial 911 phone call by Hubers to what she said in her interrogation, she was adamant that yes, she shot him, but she claimed she had no choice.
And I shot him in self-defense because he's done stuff before where I've hit my head on a headboard and could have died.
Okay.
He was physically violent with me and threw me around the room from the from the bedroom all the way into the dining room, all the way into the living room, back into the dining room. He's a lot bigger than me. And I was reaching up and grabbing at his shirt. I think I had ripped his shirt. And it got to a point where we were screaming at each other and I was crying. He was standing on the other side of the table screaming at me, reaching over to hit me and stuff, and I backed up, and he was screaming the most hateful things at me that were just evil, and he had this look out of his eye that was evil, and he was fucked up on pills. And he had guns laying on the table. And he has in jest before, when we've gotten into fights, he's into guns, he keeps loaded guns in the house, has picked up a gun, pointed it at my face as a joke. What would you do if I, and he had thrown me around the room and hurt me and was screaming at me, and I knew he was going to hit me again or throw me or something again. And I knew I was leaving. I had already packed my things, and I was asking him, can I pack the rest of my things and go? Let me pack my things. And he wouldn't let me into the bedroom to pack my things, and I got the lock about the door, and got in there and unlocked it while he was laying in the bed, probably just laying there doing nothing, lazy. And I went in there and got my stuff. Came out. And we got into a huge fight. That was before all this happened. And he got upset because I had unlocked the door because he had locked it. And he was screaming at me, telling me I was a hillbilly, that he hates hates me, that he hates my speaking voice. I hate everything about you. This is what he was screaming at me as he was trying to hit me across the kitchen table, and it was about as broad as this. And there was a gun laying right there. I think there was also one laying on the other side of the table, closer to him. And I knew what the next thing might have been, and I knew he was violent, I knew he was crazy. And I picked up the gun, and it was loaded. I didn't think it would be loaded. And there was the trigger, the safety release, you know? And he taught me how to shoot guns, or else I would have missed, you know? And I just picked up the gun, and in the middle of him doing something with his arm or saying something crazy, shot him. I killed him in a mechanism of self-defense, or shot him in a mechanism of self-defense, and then knew he was going to die, so put him out of the misery.
And she was very keen on discussing what was going on in her mind and the different factors to consider for why lethal force was necessary, that he was an immediate threat to her safety.
But he's so much bigger than me that him hitting me versus me hitting him is not really an even fight. One blow and he could kill me. Yeah. If worst came to worst, I'm rather he's dead than unhurt, because I could have been really badly hurt. He's pulled guns on me as jokes before, and I think that was in mind tonight, because I never had a fight that was this big. He's pulled it out, whipped it, and been like, what would you do if I shot you right now? What would you do if I... And I was afraid.
You talk about shocking admissions. I mean, she even described the details of him being shot.
When I shot him in the face, he had put his arm across the table, and there's a lamp, and he had put his arm across the table and had it in my face and was screaming at me at the top of his lungs after he had thrown me around the room, and was saying emotionally to me, "You're a hillbilly. I hate you. I hate your Eastern Kentucky accent. I hate your mother. I hate your friend. I hate everything about you for what you are. And my family hates it." And he was screaming, and he had his hand on the table, and he wasn't completely standing up. He was like this. And he was laying with his face on the table, like twitching. And so I knew he was going to die a very slow and painful death. I knew he was already dead, you know, within the next 20 seconds. Within the next 2 minutes, I knew he was going to be dead. And he was in a lot of pain. He was twitching, he was moaning, but he was ultimately dead. And so I shot him enough times to kill him so that he wouldn't suffer at that point, which was a few more times. And I think I shot him twice. Thought he was completely dead, and he was laying there still, twitching and making noises. And I shot him in the head. I shot it once and didn't shoot again for a while. But I was watching him die. It was so painful to watch him die and to know that I had done that. Mm-hmm. That I just walked around the table and shot him where I knew he would die immediately. I shot him probably 6 times.
Here was the first problem. Despite describing this violent episode,
it wasn't killing him because I was spiteful. It wasn't killing him because I'm done with the relationship, I'm done with you. It was, you're evil. And you've been throwing me around the room like a rag doll. You can't throw somebody into the ground. I probably have rug burns. I was thinking about that. Okay. I probably have rug burns. I feel like if someone else was in the room and they watched it go down, they would have been like, good for her. She was beaten up or thrown around the room. Like, I don't have any marks, but I was thrown around the room. I probably do on my legs, actually. I was thinking about that. I probably do have some bruises. My shoulder hurts. I think he grabbed me by the shoulder. Yeah. Like, it feels like sore. You can see from the living room that's not how it happened. If you walk in there,
Yeah.
things thrown. It doesn't look right.
Yeah.
You know, it's a disarray. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Clothes are thrown. Bed linens are thrown.
Yeah, that's something, they'll look at.
There was apparently no evidence of Shayna suffering physical injuries or that this crime scene was in some state of disarray. And it wasn't just the confession about the shooting, but her thought process that raised questions about her self-defense claim and fear for her life.
I picked up the phone and called my mother and said, Mama, what did I do? Ryan and I got into a physical fight and I killed him. I shot him, Mama. And she said, you call the cops, Shayna. You gotta call the cops and you gotta tell them exactly what happened, tell them the truth. I don't want to go to prison. I don't think I deserve to. I didn't go over there and plot to murder him. I didn't go over there and say, I want to kill Ryan. I went over there with the best of intentions. I love you. Let's work this relationship out. I can only imagine what's going through these people's heads, Like, why did she kill him? What happened? Because I feel like everyone knows me well enough to know that, I didn't just, plot and kill a dude,
But it's the really odd behavior. That is what separates a self-defense case from someone seemingly wanting to kill. She actually started dancing in the interrogation room. Or how about her singing and seemingly praising her own actions?
How sweet the sound that I sang. Oh, I'll be right back. Thank you. I did. Yes, I did. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, that was the problem for the then 21-year-old.
I don't know if anyone will ever want to marry me if they know that I killed a boyfriend in self-defense. It's not funny, but I can't even imagine what people are going to say about me. I know. Well, the worst part. Oh, it's scary. It's scary to think about. I'm going to have a lot of enemies. Now, here's a good question. If I had to go to jail, can you shower there? Or do you just get really dirty? I think they let you shower there. Really? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have to shower in front of people? Oh, I don't know. Oh my god! Idea.
But it's how she processed the shooting in that interrogation room, this kind of stream of thought, seemingly justifying her actions, that was really important for her case.
I'm not your typical murderer. No, not the one that you see on the road. He said, you're just a hillbilly from Kentucky. And I am. I guess the hillbilly came out of me. I feel really bad about it because I really loved him, but he was so abusive to me today, and in the recent past, it's I feel like that's evil of me in my heart. Because I was raised really, really Christian, and murder is a sin, and however it happened, I consider it murder, even if it wasn't something, I could be sitting here oh, I hope Ryan's family doesn't hate me. And their son, their son beat a girl who weighs 85 pounds less than him and drug her around his house, pulled me by the ponytail of my hair. He deserved it. He deserved it. Part of me doesn't feel bad about it. And part of me does, you know what I mean? Like, and part of me is like, he hit me, he threw me. You just don't treat a woman like that. And I was like begging him to stay in the relationship and be with me because I knew that we weren't really loving each other. You know, Ryan had told me that he loved me and wanted to be with me. And I guess somewhere along the way, that grew to hate. He was screaming how much he hated me. But you get to the point where you've had enough, you know, and I think I was there. When I was at that point where I had had enough of the abuse. I'd had enough of the torment. I'd had enough. And I can't believe I did it. I'm really not a bad person. Yeah, I don't think you are. I think anybody who knows me knows that. I mean, look at me, like... I'm motivated, I'm educated, I love people. My degree is in counseling psychology, you know? Like, I want to help people, I don't want to hurt people. And I always was really good to him. And to be treated like that, pushed around, literally picked up and thrown and treated and like pretty much beaten, I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't do anything out of like malicious intent, you know, like I didn't do anything that would cause. I feel like if someone else was in the room and they watched it go down, they would have been like, good for her.
So what happens? She gets charged with murder. 2015, she goes on trial, argues self-defense, toxic relationship, he was abusive, that he was violent with her that night. That was the defense's argument. Prosecution claimed, no, this was a cold-blooded killing. She did it out of anger, didn't like the idea of Ryan moving on. The jury finds her guilty of murder, sentenced to 40 years in prison with the possibility of parole in 20 years. It's not the end of the story. What happens? Her conviction gets overturned the following year because a juror apparently failed to disclose they had a felony conviction on their record. That's a big no-no, meaning that juror legally couldn't serve on the jury. So she gets a new trial. Retrial 2018. Now the defense switches it up. They're not really arguing self-defense anymore so much as extreme emotional disturbance as a result of the alleged abuse by Ryan. Hubers even took the stand this time around. But in the end, once again, she was convicted of murder. And now she was sentenced, instead of 40 years, to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 2032. Now I go to one of the most disturbing and graphic confessions in an interrogation room that I can recall in recent history. That of Taylor Shabiznis. Back in 2022, out in Wisconsin, this young woman was arrested and put in an interrogation room. Why? Because she was suspected of not only strangling 24-year-old Shad Therian with a metal chain, and I'm sorry that I have to say this, but I have to, she was also accused of sexually abusing his body and then dismembering him. His own mother came home to find her own son's blood-drenched head in a bucket in the family basement. I wish this wasn't real, but it was. Now we go to the interrogation. Did Shabiznis deny this? Did she wave her arms and say, what's going on? I'm completely innocent of being framed? No. She basically says, we had kinky sex, things maybe went a little too far, in an apparent meth-infused stupor.
Gave me a chance to turn.
She didn't get a chance to turn you? Was that he was going to, though? Was that part of the...
I thought that was the thing, and then like, I don't know, I'm just like, I think I went a little too far, because like I was blacking out while I was doing it, right? And then I look at him, he's already purple. I'm like, I don't know if he's fucking, is he good? But then like when I woke up, like, you know, during the blackout moment, like he was coughing up blood, I'm like, I don't know, I just kept on going.
And then she says she cut up his body and was sexually abusing it at the same time.
When did you start, cutting up his body?
I don't know, like almost right away. I was cutting at the same time.
Okay. Then what about the rest of his body parts? Did that take all day? Did you?
I was getting pissed off at the dismemberment process, actually.
Did it take a while? It took a while.
Yeah, because like I was nodding out. So
I guess you're kind of sleeping, kind of nodding in and out. Have you taken any other drugs?
I should have took drugs, which probably would have helped, but I didn't.
So you dismembered the body too?
Yeah.
Well, what did you do with the body parts?
Oh, they're in the house.
Some of them?
They're like, yeah.
Basement, upstairs, downstairs?
Absolutely in the basement. I was gonna bring them. And then, I know I forgot the head. I wanted the head.
Did you bring anything with you?
Yeah, it's in the van.
What?
It's in the van. It's, what is it? A foot, maybe.
The what?
I think it's a foot.
A foot in the van?
A leg, maybe. I don't know. I'm like, I'm gonna bring it all, and then I'm like, man, this is messy. So then I just left it. I got lazy.
Okay.
I got lazy, and that's what I did. So I'm like,
Okay. So there's going to be maybe a foot or a leg in the van. And then,
yeah.
what did you do with the head?
I forgot that was in the van, so yeah.
What did you do with the head?
The head I put it in that bucket, that black bucket,
Black bucket?
with the blanket on top.
Okay. And then where did you leave it?
Leave the head? The head's still in the bucket. It's right by the stairs.
I'm sorry, but this is what we're dealing with. Again, just admitting to killing him, abusing his dead body, dismembering him, that is something else. And this interview, which apparently lasted hours, continues on with Shabusiness then in a different jumpsuit.
What do you think should happen if somebody does something like this to somebody else?
I don't know. They obviously get prison time. I don't know.
You know what Shabusiness also asked? I mean, process this one. She asked police if they found all the body parts.
Did you guys find all the parts?
So, yeah, they're going through the process of looking. So, did you remove any other? You said you had the heart and the liver up with the lungs. Did you remove all that from the chest cavity? Or did you leave them in there? Or?
It could be in there.
Do you remember? Or?
They're all in plastic bags.
Separate bags or one big bag?
They're all in separate bags, like Walmart bags.
Oh.
They're fine.
All right.
They're fine.
Well, I'm sure they'll go.
First of all, I'm going to say this. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The investigators are amazing here. Staying cool, calm, collected, able to process and retrieve this information. Well, guess what happened? She was convicted. She pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, and under Wisconsin law, insanity means you're not legally responsible if due to a mental condition you couldn't appreciate the wrongfulness of what you did or conform your behavior to the law. And despite this interview, right, despite how seemingly insane this crime was, crazy this crime was, a Wisconsin jury didn't buy it. It only took about an hour for them to find her guilty of intentional homicide, abuse of a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. They also determined she wasn't insane when she committed this crime, and a judge sentenced Shabusiness to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Next up, going to Medford, Oregon.
For all the evidence that I gave you guys, right there on a silver platter, right there, down to the last detail. Down to the last detail. Not one thing missing. Here's the thing. A whole list, step by step by step. Even a third grader could read how easy that was.
Okay, so the guy in this interrogation room is Russell Jones. As you can see, let's just say, unique individual at best.
So, we can do this the nice way and we negotiate, or we can do it the hard way and I can release my bipolar. I'm sorry, buddy. but I eat high school bullies for breakfast.
Yeah, he's having this whole conversation alone in the interrogation room, seemingly trying to communicate with police who he believes are looking in. By the way, yes, they were.
I'm not demanding, I'm asking nicely. As a kind civilian that also knows how to manipulate cops. And I know everything that I'm saying is being recorded, and I'm doing it on purpose. So, I can easily turn the speaker off and rant, and then you guys will come in thinking I'm a loony because you don't hear me. So, we can do this the nice way, and we negotiate, or we can do it the hard way, and I can release my bipolar, which actually you don't really want that. Make a deal, or I let out my bipolar. Your choice.
So why is he there? Well, someone's missing. Aaron Fryer, the father of then 15-year-old Ellie Fryer.
Ellie Fryer is my client, my protectee. You are to release her to me. Oh, I say no more.
You see, Aaron Fryer disappeared from his home, and police responded to a welfare check. Neither Aaron nor Ellie are there. They would find blood in the house, so evidence of a crime. They end up finding his car. Again, no sign of Aaron. But then a short time later, Ellie, Russell Jones, the guy we're talking about, and Ellie's boyfriend, Gavin McFarland, are all seen walking down the street together. So authorities pick them up, and this is why Jones finds himself in the interrogation room.
You want the whole story? Because I did miss a few parts. You want the whole story? Ellie and Gavin are to be put in this room, and I'll give you a total of, let's set our clock, shall we? 2 hours.
Now, despite his ramblings, like, oh, I don't know, this.
Here's the thing. I'm not the one with the donut fetish. With coffee to go with it. Give a cop a donut and he'll want a coffee to go with it. Give a mouse a cookie and he'll want a glass of milk. Give a moose a muffin and he'll want something else. But here's my favorite one. What is it when a cop car is towed by a tow truck? Pulled port.
When investigators speak to him, that's when the confession comes in about what happened to Aaron.
Now, I think what you originally told us, that his body was still twitching when you got there?
Yeah, because all the gases and stuff of, he was dead. Gavin checked his pulse and everything.
What we're learning is something that Ellie has been wanting to happen for a while, and that the three of you guys have been having those conversations.
I was not in the planning of killing him. That was not my idea.
So he ends up telling detectives that he was part of this plan to rescue Ellie from her father, that there was this belief, according to him, that Aaron was sexually abusing Ellie, although, to be clear, there was no definitive evidence of that in the end.
We've been talking about, moving her out several weeks, like she said. And so we got all the stuff backpack by backpack, and whatever we could carry in small bags. And then the big finale was to make it look like he kidnapped her. And put him in a car in the passenger seat. Gavin would tied to the seat, and then Gavin would drive over state line to California.
Okay.
Killing was not my idea at all. We were supposed to try and find chloroform and knock him out, and then probably put him in the trunk. But we couldn't find any chloroform because it's not online anymore. He said that he didn't like it, and he was not happy with the text either. And
What text?
The text that Ellie sent, that he took a screenshot of, that said that her father tried to sexually...
Okay. Was he upset about that?
Yes.
Were you upset about that?
Being a protector of females, yes.
Okay.
And if anyone tried to do that to my daughter, I'd probably grab a shotgun too.
Okay.
He claims they go to the house in the middle of the night, and that is when things go sideways.
So we headed over. We waited across the street, down the alley. We were waiting there till she texted saying that he's asleep or whatever, I don't know. And I don't know what she texted him. And so I started wanting to head over, and right when I wanted to head over, she texts. So it's almost like she read my mind. And so we headed over. He went through the gate, because we were going to go through...
When you talk about he again?
Gavin.
Okay.
And he went through the gate, went through her window. I followed shortly after. I stayed at the window. We were loading bags out and stuff. And we got all the bags loaded out, and she said that she's going to grab the keys and pull the car around. While Gavin, I say, talks to the guy, but that's far from. And then she made sure that her sisters were in their room. That way because they're still young, so it would scar them.
Did you ever climb through the window?
No.
Okay.
No, I only went through the front door.
Afterwards?
Yeah, after the beating.
Okay. So earlier, at this point, what you told us was this whole gun thing?
Yeah.
Did that happen?
No.
No.
I just wanted to make it look like he was a good guy. And he is a good guy, trust me.
And how did you know to come in afterwards?
Because she told me that she's going to pull the car around, and then, well, he's taking care of business, and then I hear the loud thuds, and she told me, okay, time to go in the front door.
Did you ever actively agree with Ellie and Gavin to cause any harm to?
Actively agree. Knowingly?
Knowingly agree.
To harm, yes. To kill, no.
Police end up finding Aaron Fryer's body near where his car was recovered. Blunt force trauma injuries, beaten to death. And they find a bat in the tree.
You showed me the baseball bat in the tree.
Yeah.
And did Ellie throw that?
Yes.
Okay. And
He has a pretty good throw.
well, she does. I was going to say, that's a long way.
Yeah, so in the end, they were all charged in connection with Aaron's murder. This idea seemingly to have Ellie run off with Gavin. Lots of speculation about whether she was in fact the mastermind behind all of this. In the end, Ellie Fryer, she pleads guilty to conspiracy to commit murder, sentenced to 25 years in prison. Gavin McFarland pleads guilty and is sentenced to 25 years to life for murder and conspiracy. And Russell Jones pleads no contest to conspiracy to commit murder, sentenced to 15 years in prison. Okay, over now to the story of babysitter Lindsay Parton out of Butler County, Ohio. So she found herself in an interrogation room after 3-year-old Hannah Weshy collapsed at her home back in 2018. Now, there are a few different conversations with police, including this incredibly difficult moment to hear.
Hannah's not doing good. Okay? Whatever happened to her happened this morning.
Oh my God.
It's not from the fall from yesterday. She has a severe brain wound.
Oh my God.
So what we need is the truth from you.
But, yeah, that
Because
is
we need to know how this happened, that way we can treat her.
I'm absolutely telling you the truth. Oh my
The
God.
way it's looking right now is that this has happened at your house, because we need to find out. We need the
I
truth.
swear to God, I'm telling you the exact truth. We walked in the house
From what the
and
doctor's saying, she did not walk, she did not talk with this type of injury. None of that is
She did,
possible.
I promise you she did. We walked right in the house.
Who's we?
Me and her. Me and her. She walked in herself. Walked in herself.
They're saying that's not possible.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He watched her walk in.
With the injury, there's no way that she could have walked. So, like you said, we're gonna be straight up with you.
I'm straight up with you. I'm dead serious. No. She walked right in my house.
Okay.
And within 30 seconds, that I swear I'm not lying. I would never hurt a kid in my life. My kids don't even get spanked.
Okay, so if you wouldn't, who would?
I don't know.
Okay, I believe you're not being honest with us, and you need to come clean with it. Because you're gonna be a part of this, do you understand me?
Yeah.
Okay, as one mother to another, you can't joke around about this, you can't hide behind it. You need to come ahead of us and tell us what's going on and what you know.
Hannah Weshy ended up dying.
When you have doctors telling you this child was beat, this is abuse, they just pulled a plug on this child is dead.
Oh my God.
So we can't get any more serious than where we're at, Lindsay.
No, we can't.
That's what I'm saying.
So investigators are trying to figure out if Lindsay Parton did something to her. And at first, she's adamant that she doesn't spank, that she's not physical with Hannah. She tries to explain away all of this little girl's injuries by saying, oh, she fell, raise questions about whether Hannah's father, Jason Weshy, was somehow responsible. Turns out, none of that was adding up.
So this is her left cheek?
Yeah. I feel like she was, so when she walked in the front door, when she walked in the back door, the garage door, into the back of the house.
When is this?
Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
And I've never seen that before, so I don't know. But I feel like, because the way when she looked up at me and said, buddy, can I have donut and couch, and went to take her jacket off, and she fell on that side, the other side, and there was like a pink cart laying there, and I think she scraped her face on that, but I'm not sure.
This is bruised on both sides. Yeah. There's a piece of cartilage in the ear. So, this isn't one continuous bruise, basically.
Yes.
It's two bruises. It isn't bruised through. It's something on the front and the back. Looks like.
No, I've
Never seen that.
Never noticed her ears.
What about that? Keep a little scratch.
Mm-mm.
So when people fall, you're gonna have bruising on the sharp points. Okay. So it's gonna be this point, none here, and then some here. Or if you were over here, you're gonna have some here.
And she could have. I don't know. I was just coming out of the door and
If you fall straight forward, you're not gonna have bruising over here and none in the middle.
Yeah.
And then bruising would have been here. And up underneath there would have been no bruising. That's a soft spot that your body naturally protects.
Yeah.
The way your body. That's why it's tucked in. It's tucked in. And that's where we're getting. That's why we wanted you to come down and fill in some of these holes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, I've been pretty honest with you this morning. A lot of these aren't adding up to a fall in the gravel.
Yeah.
With it being over here and down here, and then these. I mean, she would have had to fall in, like in some perfectly aligned gravel.
And then we get to this moment in the interrogation.
I slipped on her blanket. I opened the door, and we both went down, and she hit that concrete step really hard.
Where at? On her head?
On her face, yeah. I was holding her on the left side. And when I slipped, it hit her side.
Why would you mind that?
I didn't want to be in trouble. I don't know, because I have babies and kids at home. I don't want my husband to get sued. I don't want to babysit kids anymore.
And then we get to the admissions. The admissions that change everything, because Lindsay Parton goes from I wouldn't touch Hannah to this.
How does this happen?
I slapped her upside the head.
With what?
My hand.
Open, closed?
Yeah, open.
What caused that?
She took all of the I don't know why she was in trouble. She took all the ketchup out and squirted it into the toilet while I wasn't looking.
That's frustrating.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else had she done that day? Is this like a culmination of things building up?
She did.
What day was that?
Was it last week? This week? Early
Yeah.
this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't think that hurt her. I really didn't.
Well, they're not. I mean, kids are tough. They're not, trust me,
Yeah.
as well as anybody else does, you're very resilient and you're not going to know.
Tell us what that
On the
was.
chin.
I really did not hit her on the chin. I know
I'm not
that.
saying anything.
Right, yeah, I
Does
don't.
she talk back to you?
No,
She doesn't?
not one bit.
Does she not listen to you? Like, if
She actually does look.
if she's watching a show and you tell her to do something, does she not listen?
No, she listens.
How do you get her attention when she doesn't listen?
Hannah, you gotta listen to Buddy.
Does she not eat well?
No, she eats great. She eats all day long.
Then tell us what happened here.
Tell us about that.
This was not a fall in the driveway.
It's not.
We know what this is consistent with.
Yeah.
Look at me. We do this for a living.
No, I know.
Okay?
I
This
know.
is not the first 3-year-old that we're staring at pictures about, okay? We know exactly what caused this, okay? Exactly. It's not a fall. And you know what caused this. Just like you know what caused this, okay? So what caused this?
I smacked her on the chin for doing it. It was the same thing.
Okay. So this is the same incident.
Yeah.
Tell us about this. Because this is not a smack. I just want to tell you right now, this is not a deep bone contusion from an open-handed smack. Okay? Knowing that.
I didn't. I
No,
wasn't
listen.
like that.
Knowing that we know that, what happened here?
The same thing. It was the same incident.
Tell us what happened. These specific bruises.
When I caught her doing the ketchup, I took it away and I put her on the potty because I figured she had to go pee anyway. I said, Hannah, you can't do the ketchup. I just slapped her on the side of the head and went like that.
Close.
Yeah, like that.
How many times? Don't say once.
Yeah. A couple times.
Because the bruise?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he give you permission to discipline?
Yeah.
I mean, spank and stuff? Okay.
I don't really think. I don't even know why I was mad that
So
day.
these were close fists, like uppercuts?
Yeah.
Okay. And this was an open-handed smack? Was it really open-handed?
Yeah. Yes. She didn't want him to go to work. And he's like, I gotta go. So he rushed out and I was like, Hannah, you can't do that. Daddy's gotta go to work.
You shook her?
Yeah.
And she fell unconscious?
Yeah, well, not necessarily. She didn't fall unconscious. She just, I don't know how that's, she kind of,
Was she crying after her dad?
yeah, no, not crying, just kind of like,
Whining?
yeah. I shook her, and I remember picking her up and squeezing her, and we did fall. But she did ask me for donut and couch before
How hard did you shake her? Like, what was the shake? What was
she was in trouble.
Yeah. And you were angry.
Yeah. Because he asks her every morning to not do that. He asks her.
How many
I'm
times?
in a hurry.
How many times?
It's like you're looking at a 12-hour day ahead of you, and you're already dealing with this.
Stop doing this already.
Did she cry?
No,
Did it make her cry?
no.
Okay. Then what happened?
I picked her up with the blanket, and that's when we fell, and then all that happened.
Okay. So you take her from dad, set her down.
He set her down first.
She's whining after dad.
Correct.
You pick her up,
Correct.
close the door, dad goes.
Yes.
And is that when you shook her?
How do you hold her when you shake her?
Partial.
Outside or not?
Yeah.
Was she standing up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love
In
it.
front of her? You guys face to face?
Okay, so you're angry.
Were you angry?
No, not necessarily, just frustrated because
Frustrated.
she knows that it's late and needs to go, and when he says that,
And it happens every morning.
not every morning, but quite a lot.
Not to be frustrating?
Yeah, at this point, because she knows.
Always so difficult to listen to. Now, Parton testified in her own defense at trial.
You didn't know that admitting to shaking Hannah would get you in trouble?
No, I didn't think it would.
But she was ultimately convicted of murder, manslaughter, and child endangerment charges after an 8-day trial in 2019, and she was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 18 years. How do I do an episode on shocking interrogation confessions without talking about Chris Watts? I don't like talking about Chris Watts, but this is one of the most haunting examples. In August of 2018, there were the brutal murders that took place in Frederick, Colorado, of a pregnant mother named Shanann Watts, her 2 daughters, 4-year-old Bella, 3-year-old Celeste. Police sit down with the husband, the father, Chris Watts. You see Shanann had returned home late from a business trip. Her friend got worried when Shanann didn't respond to any messages or phone calls. Chris said he had seen his wife at the house around 5 in the morning, been at work at an oil company all day. He was adamant he didn't know where his wife or children were, and he ends up failing a polygraph test.
It was completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened. And I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise. Chris, I'm no stop. It's time. Just stop for a minute. Take a deep breath. I want you to take a deep breath right now.
There's a reason you feel sick to your stomach?
And Watts continued to deny that he was deceptive, that he was hiding something. But then at one point, he asks to speak to his father. And I talk confessions, right? That's the episode. According to Watts, he claims, this is what he tells his father, he had been having an affair, talked with Shanann about a possible separation, says she became enraged, told his father he went downstairs, and when he came back up, Shanann had allegedly suffocated the 2 little girls. And Watts says he then strangled her and took all the bodies to a remote oil storage site being used by his employer. That Shanann was buried in a shallow grave, Bella and Celeste's bodies were found in crude oil tanks nearby, and the audio of Watts' confession to his father is hard to hear because Watts seems to be whispering and trailing off at times, but here you go.
She started her begins. Paper. One, just smoking. Or choking. I didn't hear anything. When I was downstairs, I came back up and they were calling. I'm gonna let you talk that. I'm talking to her about that. I'm talking to her about separation and everything, about things she lost. I don't know like what else to say, like I freaked out. I was in my kids. I heard like a little commotion upstairs, but I didn't think anything of it. Mm-hmm. And then we went back upstairs and she was there. I could see like she was on top of me. I'm choking her for that. Did she kill him? They're blue. Both of them. Yeah. She took both of them at that. I freaked out in the champagne.
Now here's the thing, not by me. Watts was charged not just with Shanann's killing, but all their killings. Charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, unlawful termination of a pregnancy because she was pregnant, and 3 counts of tampering with pregnancy. He ended up pleading guilty to 9 charges and was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole in exchange for the death penalty being taken off the table. After he was sent to prison, Watts finally revealed to authorities what seemingly really happened that night, or at least this could be the real story. Very different than what he told his father. He says after the argument about divorce, he claims he then strangled Shanann to death. And when 4-year-old Bella walked into the room, he told her, "Mommy don't feel good." Wrapped Shanann's body in a sheet, put the body in his truck, drove it and the 2 girls, his daughters, to the oil site, where he smothered the children and hid the bodies.
I don't know about this part. Those are my kids. This is my baby. I'm every night. I don't see how this could happen. Every time I see pictures of them, I don't know how this could happen. And being a dad was the best part of my life. I took it all away.
I think that's the hardest part for us, Chris, is we see those videos, we see that love that you had for your girls. Like, it's obvious to us, and even to us, it's hard for us to understand how a dad who's given piggyback rides and, you know, making snacks and watching princess movies and those kinds of things, how you get to that point, you know?
Like I said, it was just like something else was controlling me that day. I had no control over what I was like to fight back.
Yeah.
Incredibly hard to listen to, and especially chilling considering we may never really know what happened. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock. And if you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time, everybody.
The last person that ever tried me like this died 30 days later. I pray for you.
Yep, that was a former judge who got arrested outside of a nightclub, and now she has just filed a reported $50 million lawsuit against the city of Atlanta and a police officer claiming she was falsely arrested, imprisoned, and her rights were violated. Oh, and I say she filed it because she's representing herself. Let's talk about the latest of Christina J. Peterson. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. So yes, we are going to be breaking down this new lawsuit filed by Christina Peterson, a former probate judge in Douglas County, Georgia, where she claims that her rights were violated when she was apprehended by police in the early morning hours of June 21st, 2024, outside of a nightclub in Atlanta. Now, before I even get into her legal claims, and I'll give you some of my take on the strength of it, got to go to the body cam here. Key piece of evidence, and by the way, comes up in her complaint quite a lot. So the body cam, as in many stories, tells a lot of the story. And we're going to start now with the body cam of the officer, where there is some sort of altercation happening outside of the Red Martini nightclub. Now, according to Peterson from her lawsuit, and again, we're going to get a lot more into this, it says, quote, this is her narrative. On or about June 21st, 2024, at approximately 3 a.m., plaintiff was present outside the Red Martini nightclub in Atlanta, Georgia, where she observed a man violently assaulting a woman by throwing her backward and repeatedly punching her in the face, while plaintiff remained separate from the assailant and did not engage in the altercation. Okay, so let's go to the body cam.
No, he just punched me. Everything for no reason. Right, no, seriously. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. That's a cop! And that's on me! She's a judge. Go get my the judge. Go get my purse.
The judge just punched the cop.
No, I did not. Go get my purse.
Christina, I have your stuff.
I got it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so as you can see, there's an altercation, and then there's this allegation that she hit a police officer, and she was ultimately charged with simple battery and felony obstruction for allegedly punching a police officer. I'll talk to you about what happened there with respect to the charges. I think that's going to be important. But Peterson, in her lawsuit, states the following. This is her version of the situation. Quote, plaintiff attempted to assist the victim and did not use or threaten violence against anyone. Plaintiff momentarily grasped the back of the assailant's shirt solely to interrupt the ongoing violence. Immediately after disengaging, plaintiff observed a different male individual unlawfully seize and hold the victim. Plaintiff verbally directed the individual to release the victim and briefly attempted to free the victim's arm from his grasp using minimal non-violent contact. Plaintiff did not strike, threaten, or use force against the individual. It was at this point, without warning, inquiry, or command, that defendant Wadsworth, so we're talking that's Atlanta police officer Keith Wadsworth, she's suing him too, by the way, seized plaintiff. At the time of the seizure, and that's a key word, seizure, right? Search and seizure, Fourth Amendment, we'll talk about that. At the time of the seizure, defendant Wadsworth had no personal knowledge of the altercation, had not observed criminal conduct by plaintiff, and conducted no investigation before using force. It's important for the analysis. We'll talk that later on. Defendant Wadsworth did not interview the victim, speak with witnesses, or otherwise attempt to determine plaintiff's role before acting. Again, this goes to the idea of what we'll talk about, probable cause, reasonable suspicion a crime was being committed. Plaintiff did not resist, threaten, or obstruct defendant Wadsworth. Without provocation or justification, defendant Wadsworth violently slammed plaintiff headfirst to the ground and applied compressive force to her neck and back while she was prone, non-resisting, and compliant before placing her in handcuffs. Plaintiff did not strike, attempt to strike, or batter defendant Wadsworth at any time. Plaintiff's identification was in her purse, which was on her shoulder immediately before she was seized. When plaintiff was knocked to the ground by defendant Wadsworth, her purse fell nearby and was retrieved by friends. After plaintiff had already been seized and handcuffed, defendant Wadsworth asked plaintiff for her name. Defendant Wadsworth nevertheless refused to permit plaintiff to retrieve her identification, ignored the information provided by witnesses, and continued to detain plaintiff. Now, I will say she is asked repeatedly on this body cam multiple times by officers throughout this whole episode what her name is, and she seemingly refuses to provide that information. All right, before we get into this, look, New Year's means a fresh start. But if you have debt, the threat to your financial health is going to stay the same. Debt is a silent killer. Interest compounds, fees stack up, and your financial problems are going to multiply. Doesn't need to stay that way, though. Our sponsor, PDS Debt, has helped hundreds of thousands escape debt, reduce what they owe, and take back control. So whether it's credit cards, personal loans, medical bills, PDS Debt has customized options to help you pay off debt faster. There's no minimum credit score that's required. They look beyond the numbers at your unique financial situation and design personalized plans to help you pay off debt faster and put money back where it belongs, in your pocket. Plus, they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Every month you wait is going to cost you more, but your way out starts right now. Don't wait for debt to strike again. Break free in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option for you at pdsdebt.com/sidebar. That's pdsdebt.com/sidebar, pdsdebt.com/sidebar. I want to move on to what happens next in this body cam. So this is when she's in the back of Officer Wadsworth's police car, and she repeatedly defends herself, goes back and forth with the officer, and she also makes these religious comments.
What did you do?
Nothing.
Security was separating a fight.
Nothing.
I was
He hit a woman. He abused a woman.
She ran up.
And I
combo of like a push punch.
And he put me in handcuffs.
Then I placed her in
I
handcuffs.
was not in agreement
So I'm
with
gonna take her free.
it.
Maybe if you wasn't drinking. Maybe if you wasn't. Maybe if you wasn't drinking. Maybe if you wasn't drinking, you would have known that I walked over there to separate it. So there you go. And that's why you're going to jail.
This woman has done nothing to him, Lord. He put his hands upon her, and I could not sit and watch him sin, Lord. I observed him, and he, in the name of Jesus, Lord, he has been touched by a devil and a demonic spirit, Lord, that he has put his hands upon me. You beat on that woman.
You know I had this camera on the whole time. So why you? What women did I beat? Which woman did I beat? At Red Martini, I was sitting in the car. You can't.
It's called red martini.
That's what I said. I said red martini.
Outside of the place, you had put your hands on that woman without causing provocation.
What woman did I put my hands
She did
on?
not put her hands on you. She was not aggressive with you. She was not abusive with you, sir.
Yeah, I think
you put your hands on her without causing.
I think you had too much to. I think you had too much. I think you had too much to drink.
Are you serious? I didn't have.
I think you had too much to drink because you can't remember what happened.
You punched me to the ground.
All right, we're gonna sit here.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna be here all night.
That's fine.
Who is your cat? What's up?
That's fine. I don't have to lie. The camera will tell everything. And then there is no reason to lie. Yeah, it was on, so I can't wait. Yeah. Oh, well, guys, answering your call.
Take me where I need to go because you're harassing me. It's called false imprisonment. Take me where I need to go. I should never be sitting in a police car for 80 minutes. And I am not under arrest.
You are under arrest.
You have not said I'm under. You are under
You
arrest.
are under
You have
arrest.
the right to remain silent. Any way you say anything you say it can be or will be used against you in a court of law. You have not told me that. You have not told me what I'm under arrest for. You have not told me what I have done. Let's be very clear. This is false imprisonment. This is malicious prosecution. Please understand.
Okay, so you're already getting a preview of what she would later claim in her lawsuit, right? Some specific language there. Now, here's what happens when the officer approaches her in the back seat.
Take me where you need to take me. I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of jail. I'm not scared of none of it. Take me where you need to take me.
You need to take ready.
Take me where you need to take me. Stop harassing me.
All right, man.
I just pray for you.
So listen.
Take me where you need to take me. I'm not scared of you or jail. Please
Ma'am.
take me where you need to take
Listen.
me. No, I could give a take me where you want to take me. You're not
Ma'am.
going to harass me. And I'm not.
Ma'am.
No, I could give a
Listen.
you stop playing with me. You have beat a woman and you beat me to the ground.
Ma'am.
Take me where you want to take me.
I can't take
No,
you. I don't
take
have any
me.
identification on
And
you.
I don't care. You don't need the identification. You have
I
locked
do.
people up and you have picked up dead bodies when you don't know who bodies it was,
Ma'am.
but you picked them up.
Ma'am.
Take me where you need to take me.
I'm trying to.
The last person that ever tried me like this died 30 days later. I pray for you. And I pray for you.
Okay, now that is something she repeatedly asks officers that night to call Cyrus Colley, who she says is from Atlanta PD. I actually looked him up. Does appear to have worked for Atlanta Police Department, even worked as a police supervisor. Seems at one point in time he ran for Douglas County Sheriff. But then this is the part where she arrives at booking and processing, and I will tell you, it gets very tense.
For what? I wasn't cuffed. I wasn't when it needed to. Shut the up. You look like was trying to eat on me before and I never let him. Relax. Shut the and stop touching me.
Don't.
Yeah, stop touching me. Get the fuck off of me. Stop touching. I got it. I can walk on my own. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I got it. I can walk on my own. Don't touch me. Listen to me. Where's your camera? You can't let me get in this car with this lunatic.
Give me your name. If you give me your name, then you'll be booked here. You'll be with us. Give me your name.
No.
What's your name?
No. Call. Do what
I don't know. I don't know them people.
Call. You do
I don't
know.
know Polly.
Yes, you do.
Who is that? Where she work?
Him.
Where he working?
Atlanta Police Department.
Well, I don't know who that is.
Yes, you do. Do you know Fanny?
No.
Shadera Fanny. Yes, you do.
I don't know the people.
Yes, you do.
If you give me your name, then you stay here.
Laval. Call him.
I don't know their numbers.
You don't know Laval.
I know who he is, but I don't have his number.
Call the wall.
And tell him I can't. How am I going to tell him? I got
If
somebody.
call him and I will say hello, and they will know who I am.
You can't do that.
Because it's harassment. It's harassment. And I will. Are you recording this?
No, I
You're
appreciate it.
losing me. Are you recording?
Ma'am, you can be here and stay here, and your friends can pick you up.
No.
The ones that were in the Audi.
Listen.
That's it. All I have to do is put your name and date of birth on here, so you can get booked in.
You
That's
a
all.
lie. You're a liar.
I'm telling you what I'm telling you.
You're accusing me of, and you're a liar.
Disorderly
You beat
conduct.
that bitch to the ground, and you hit me to
You
the
have
ground.
the wrong person.
Yes, that was you.
No, you're drunk, and I'm telling you.
I don't even drink like that, you
come on.
weirdo.
And that's why you're acting like this.
Now, as I mentioned, in the end, she was reportedly charged with simple battery and felony obstruction. However, those charges reportedly were dropped. WSB TV reporting that a judge dismissed them for, quote, want of prosecution. Now, that can be for procedural reasons. That can be there was an issue with the prosecution meeting their burden in a case like this. Although there is reporting that she still may be facing a misdemeanor charge of obstruction. This is according to 11 Live. But whatever the circumstances are, that could potentially be helpful to her case, particularly if you're dealing with a situation, if there was a problem with that specific charge or the elements of that charge. Not entirely sure, don't have more information about this, but potentially could be useful for her claims in the civil case. Now, I should tell you, she has been removed from office by the Georgia Supreme Court. This happened back in 2024. But it wasn't because of this incident per se, rather for, quote, a pattern of misconduct proved by clear and convincing evidence and showing a, quote, flagrant disregard for the law. That's what the high court said. And essentially our understanding is that she wouldn't be able to be appointed as a judge or run for at least 7 years because of this. And apparently she was accused of numerous violations of the Georgia Code of Judicial Conduct going back to 2021 and 2022. There was one where it was found that Peterson wrongly held a woman in contempt of court without providing her adequate due process. And when she was questioned by a disciplinary body about this, Peterson, according to the court, that she offered up, quote, untruthful testimony about her reasoning that, quote, underscores her conscious wrongdoing. This is from the high court. There were also apparently issues of decorum and courthouse behavior, but the bottom line is she was removed. Now, I have to tell you, for purposes of this civil lawsuit, she is still a licensed attorney in good standing without a history of discipline in that capacity. This is according to Georgia State Bar records. And so now she's filed this lawsuit. She's filed this lawsuit against the city of Atlanta and Officer Wadsworth. So she basically claims that Wadsworth not only physically violated her, but after telling her she was being arrested for disorderly conduct, quote, plaintiff was placed in the back of defendant Wadsworth's patrol vehicle and detained for 4 to 5 hours, during which Wadsworth drove erratically, stopped at undisclosed locations, exited the vehicle multiple times, and made private phone calls. Plaintiff's detention was punitive and pretextual, not investigatory, and occurred without probable cause or prompt judicial determination. And she argued that her case was elevated to felony obstruction, quote, based solely on the false allegation that plaintiff battered defendant Wadsworth while he was purportedly investigating a crime. Quote, defendant Wadsworth falsely alleged that plaintiff struck him with a closed fist and or shoved him and struck him in the head and or chest. These allegations were knowingly false and were made to justify defendant Wadsworth's unlawful use of force and prolonged detention. And in terms of the city, a lot of this is about the body-worn camera. Quote, on June 21st, 2024, the city approved, released, and affirmatively promoted edited and curated body-worn and dash cam footage that implied plaintiff committed felony obstruction and battery on a police officer. Such approval and release decisions were made by city officials. The city released and promoted these materials before any judicial determination while felony charges were pending. After the felony charges were dismissed, the city continued publication of the misleading footage and narratives without correction, disclaimer, or contextual clarification. The city further permitted or failed to prevent the premature dissemination of non-public arrest allegations, including the specific claim that plaintiff struck defendant Wadsworth on the head and or chest before booking or lawful public release. Prior to plaintiff's arrest, defendant City of Atlanta was on notice of allegations that defendant Wadsworth had engaged in unconstitutional arrests and uses of force in prior incidents and litigation. Despite such notice, the city failed to take reasonable corrective or preventive action and continued to deploy defendant Wadsworth without adequate supervision, discipline, or restraining. So that's important to try to get the city on the hook. So what is she claiming? What are all the causes of action? Well, the first one, count one, this is 42 USC 1983 claim, very important. It's for false arrest. So this is a specific federal law that says any state actor, like an officer, who deprives somebody of their rights can potentially be held legally liable. So here, the argument is that Wadsworth, right, a police officer for the state, arrested her without probable cause that she committed a crime, that this was a violation of the Fourth Amendment. You know how somebody has a right against unreasonable searches and seizures, that a warrant needs probable cause? So this is because she claims Wadsworth didn't see her commit a crime, didn't conduct a proper investigation, that she didn't obstruct or interfere with Wadsworth in any way. And what he did was allegedly unreasonable. That's the key term, unreasonable. And she claims, and this is important, I'll talk about it in a minute, that he is not entitled to any sort of immunity here, that he can be sued. Talk about that. Count 2, again, another Section 1983 claim. This is for excessive force. Same federal law. Again, she says this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment because the Fourth Amendment protects the right to be free from excessive force during an arrest. And so the claim here is what he allegedly did was objectively unreasonable under the circumstances, because she claims she wasn't an immediate threat, she wasn't resisting, she wasn't fleeing, and yet she was allegedly slammed to the ground and had force applied to her neck and back. And so she claims that Defendant Wadsworth used force against her that was objectively unreasonable and excessive under the circumstances. Count 3, again, another Section 1983 claim. This is for unlawful detention and false imprisonment. By the way, these are all against Defendant Wadsworth. But so you're talking Fourth Amendment again, unreasonable seizure. Here she was allegedly kept for several hours without probable cause or a warrant or a court order. So it served no legitimate police investigatory purpose. You can't be subjected to prolonged detention like this without more. Count 4, another Section 1983 claim. This is for malicious prosecution. Essentially that you can't be criminally charged or move forward through the criminal legal process without probable cause. So here, you can't be criminally charged, you can't move through the criminal legal process without sufficient probable cause. And here, she claims that the probable cause asserted by the officer, Wadsworth, was supported by false statements and misleading information. Count 5, state law, false arrest and false imprisonment. This is a state law Georgia claim. Basically, the allegation is, quote, Defendant Wadsworth knowingly and intentionally arrested and detained plaintiff without lawful authority. You have count 6, again, state law. This is battery. Here it's under Georgia law. Defendant Wadsworth intentionally and without justification made harmful and offensive physical contact with plaintiff. Count 7, again, state law, Georgia law. Assault. Defendant Wadsworth intentionally placed plaintiff in reasonable apprehension of immediate bodily harm. Count 8, this is back to the federal Section 1983 claim, stigma plus due process. Okay, so this is against the city of Atlanta. Basically, you're saying the government violated your rights. And here, the allegation being that the city of Atlanta, quote, publicly disseminated false and misleading arrest narratives and police video footage portraying plaintiff as having committed violent felony offenses, including felony obstruction and battery on a law enforcement officer. The stigmatizing statements and visual depictions disseminated by the city were false and were published with knowledge of their falsity or with reckless disregard for the truth, kind of like defamation language putting in there. The city's dissemination occurred through official channels and with command-level approval. The city's official dissemination and continued publication of false felony arrest narratives and curated police video footage independently imposed an ongoing legal and practical burden by publicly branding plaintiff as a violent felon without adjudication, without affording her any name-clearing hearing or meaningful opportunity to contest the city's official account, thereby altering her legal status, professional standing, and liberty interests in a manner distinct from and in addition to the underlying criminal process. Kind of like a little bit of a due process claim there. Count 9, this is municipal liability under Monell. So this is again against the city. And Monell, whenever you hear that, it establishes that local governments, cities, counties, departments, they can be potentially held liable under a Section 1983 claim, but not on a theory of respondeat superior. What do I mean by that? So you're not saying that simply the actions of an officer can hold the city liable. Instead, what you are saying is that liability for a government, for a city, arises when there is a constitutional violation coming from an official policy or custom, something the government set out, something the city set out that caused that person's rights to be violated. What's the argument here? That the city of Atlanta, quote, defendant city of Atlanta through the Atlanta Police Department was responsible for the supervision, discipline, training, monitoring, and deployment of sworn officers, including defendant Keith Wadsworth. Prior to the incident giving rise to this action, the city had actual notice that defendant Wadsworth repeatedly violated APD rules. The sustained violations were not isolated or aberrational. Rather, they reflected a recurring pattern in which defendant Wadsworth failed to comply with directives designed to regulate officer conduct, ensure accountability during citizen encounters, and safeguard constitutional rights. Despite this documented pattern, the city failed to implement effective corrective measures, including meaningful supervision, targeted restraining, monitoring, reassignment, or restrictions on defendant Wadsworth's enforcement authority. Now, I'm not privy to his past, perhaps disciplinary actions or his past law enforcement work, but potentially this could be problematic for both Wadsworth and the city if true, if they were put on notice of something. And what is she looking for? She's looking for damages in an amount to be determined by a jury believed to exceed $50 million for physical injury, emotional distress, loss of liberty, widespread reputational and professional harm, and also punitive damages like punishment damages against defendant Wadsworth. Okay, few things. I laid out her claims, kind of laid out what her evidence would be, right? And also I said if the charges were dismissed, could potentially be helpful for her. You know, if she can show that Wadsworth has this history, again, could be very positive for her. But a few things. So I am just going to be giving potential counter arguments here as someone who's not connected to the case, don't know all the facts, but Officer Wadsworth, in my opinion, will most likely argue a few things. First, probably will argue that he followed the proper protocols of the arrest. He was following his training, that he had probable cause to arrest her based on the circumstances at that time, that he followed the guidelines, that he followed the training, the protocols of how to arrest somebody in an open environment like that he didn't do anything counter to that he didn't do anything excessive, maybe use the body cam to support that claim. Usually in these cases, there's a lot of back and forth on use of force and training and manuals. But you put all that to the side, I also think he's going to be arguing qualified immunity, okay? Now, qualified immunity essentially protects officers from being sued in the performance of their duties. Makes sense because officers should be able to feel that sense of protection in order to properly carry out their duties, not have fear of being sued every 5 seconds. However, that can be pierced. It's not absolute, okay? So that immunity can be pierced if it can be demonstrated that the officer's actions violated a clearly established right under the Constitution or law. So that can be difficult to show, a clear departure from what an officer was supposed to do under the circumstances. You have to show that what they did was objectively unreasonable. Oh, and by the way, Wadsworth may, deny the allegations of any kind of past performance issues or disciplinary actions, not sure. The city is probably going to do the same thing. They may contest that he had prior disciplinary actions or there were prior issues. They'll say they didn't have any notice of that, no knowledge of him doing anything. Or they may say, hey, listen, what he did is what he did. You're trying to hold us liable for what he allegedly did. He went rogue. He did his own thing. It wasn't our fault. And it doesn't work under that specific law that you're suing under, right? I mentioned before that you can only sue us under Monell. You can only sue us if we had some sort of customer policy in place. We did everything right. He went rogue. Maybe try to distance themselves from Wadsworth. That's one thing. Or they'll defend what he did, right? They'll look at the training, they'll look at the manuals, they'll look at use of force and say what he did was reasonable under the circumstances. We did everything we were supposed to do. You weren't violated because of our policies or our customs. Now, I do have a little bit of trouble with the releasing the body cam issue because especially body cam and in a public setting, right? In a police cruiser, booking, it's different than in someone's home. You could say there's a limited expectation of privacy there. It's part of the investigation. But, she makes this allegation essentially that there was maybe the footage was manipulated or tampered or curated in a way. I don't have any evidence to suggest that. But if she can show that, right, that's different. If you can show there's evidence that someone tampered with evidence or the video was manipulated to serve a false narrative, that's interesting. But look, generally, the production of body cam or arrest materials or court footage, you deal with FOIA, you deal with First Amendment considerations, the public having a right to access to these materials. And any defendant, I also have to think about this, if any defendant where charges are dropped or they're acquitted could claim that nothing should have been released. I mean, there's a side question about whether or not it influences a jury or that. But whether or not those materials should even be made public, if the charges are ultimately dropped or someone's acquitted, I haven't seen a lot of that. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work, because wouldn't any defendant who's acquitted or the charges are dropped say, none of that should have been released? I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look at that a little more specifically, especially under Georgia law. But again, it's an interesting argument. And she also kind of throws in that defamation language that I mentioned before. I also have to mention, it is interesting she's representing herself. She can do it. It's her right. She can do it. And she is an attorney. But always complicated. There's a conflict of interest in a way. You kind of want an objective, neutral analysis. That's why you want somebody to represent you. It's always usually best policies to let somebody do that, to fight for you in these circumstances. And I will tell you, in terms of being your own advocate, in the last few days, Peterson posted kind of these glamour shots of herself on her personal Instagram page. There was the caption, "Taking everything back that was stolen from me." That's the comment. Then you have the hashtags, "It's my time," "The year of redemption," "Reclaiming my time," "Clearing my name," and "Justice for all." That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock. We're putting episodes up there as well. If you want to follow me, you can check me out on X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live. I'll see you next time, everybody.
When I met up with
sectioning her,
Officer
boxing her in,
when I
putting
met
her
up
into
with Officer
custody.
Houston.
Don't talk when I'm talking, sir.
That right there, that is the tension inside a courtroom where former cop Kelsey Fitzsimmons is on trial for pointing a gun at one of her own colleagues, Officer Patrick Noonan, who ended up shooting her after he says she pulled the trigger. Now, this trial has been picking up some serious steam. People watching every moment, following every twist. So we're going to break down some of the biggest moments so far. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. By the way, we talk so much about the dangers out there. What about this? How about a stranger finding out and using anything about your private life? Pretty scary, right? Your name, your phone number, your address, it's all out there, which is why I want everybody who follows us here on Sidebar to keep your data safe online. Our sponsor, Incogni, can do that. They track down all of those old posts and search sites that's exposing your information, and then they demand removal. Look, I was shocked. Turns out databases had all my information, and within days, Incogni was taking them down. The setup is simple. You just create an account. Incogni will do the rest. Plus, their new Unlimited Plans custom removals feature lets you submit specific links that their privacy experts will personally investigate and remove. So if you care about staying safe, take your privacy back with Incogni. Go to incogni.com/sidebar. Use code SIDEBAR for 60% off an annual plan. All right, here is a brand new trial out of Massachusetts that we have been following that is already getting a lot of attention. And by the way, it is getting intense. It's getting a lot of like Karen Reed level attention. It involves a police officer, her fiance, a restraining order, and a shooting that happened right inside her own home. We're talking about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. She was an off-duty cop working with the Andover police when 3 of her colleagues showed up to serve her with a restraining order that was filed by her fiance. Now, he was taking custody of their 4-month-old son. What happened next after those officers showed up? That is now at the center of this case. That's the question. And it has Fitzsimmons now standing trial, facing a charge of assault with a dangerous weapon. Now, the prosecution says that she pointed her service weapon at one of the officers and pulled the trigger. That's the allegation. The defense says, wait a second, she never pointed at him at all, and that she was just trying to do something else with that weapon. No body cameras, apparently, just 2 people in that courtroom, Kelsey Fitzsimmons and the fellow officer who seemingly shot her, Patrick Noonan. Noonan took the stand, described that powerful moment when he says all of this went down.
She reappeared with a gun and pointed it right at me and pulled the trigger. I screamed her name. I was completely shocked. She had the drop on me.
Now, there is surveillance video from inside the house, and I'll say it captures something pretty crucial. It's from the basement. You see there Justin Eileen, that's Kelsey's fiance, moving around, gathering items, and then just watch this. His head snaps up. He drops what he's holding. A few seconds later, he's running out of the basement, through the garage, out of the house. Whatever just happened upstairs, he seemingly heard it. And this video is the closest thing we have to a timeline of those final moments. Now, Noonan was actually back on the stand earlier today, and the defense's line of questioning is hinging on this idea that Noonan didn't calmly assess a threat, but rather that he panicked. He saw a gun, reacted, and then had to adjust the story to justify what he did. Defense attorney Tim Brattle started his cross-examination by going after that very idea, and that is when things got pretty tense fast.
When I met up with
Sectioning her,
Officer
boxing her in,
when I
putting
met
her
up
into
with Officer
custody.
Houston,
Don't talk when I'm talking, sir.
Let's not argue back and forth and just ask your questions. You just wait to answer until he's done.
So if you're new to this case, this is where things stand. On Monday, June 30th, 2025, 3 North Andover officers went to Kelsey Fitzsimmons' home to serve a restraining order, and her fiancé, Justin, had filed it that same day, claiming that he feared for their 4-month-old son because of what he described as disturbing messages from Kelsey and his belief that her behavior had become concerning leading to the weekend before all this went down. So the officers were there to take custody of the child, remove her firearms. But what started as what was supposed to be a routine service quickly turned into something no one expected. In his opening statement, prosecutor James Gubatos laid out the Commonwealth's case. And in a nutshell, it's this, that Kelsey Fitzsimmons pointed her service weapon at a fellow officer and pulled the trigger.
Ms. Fitzsimmons comes to the door holding her 4-month-old child. They go into the house. They explain to her what was happening, that there was a restraining order, that there's going to be a hearing on July 14th where she'd be able to tell her side of the story. And she tells the officer, I know how this all works. They ask her where her firearms are, and she lies to them, and she tells them they're in the basement. She's on her knees. She's gathering things. He notices at some point that her demeanor changes. She gets upset. At that point, she lunges to her right, forward and to her right. And he can't see what she grabs, but she grabs a firearm. It turns out to be her service weapon. She comes back. She raises it. Before Officer Noonan can do anything, she pulls the trigger as it's leveled at his face, and it goes to click. It goes to click, excuse me. It does not fire. The gun hadn't fired, and so she was doing what the officers will describe to you as a tack rack. She has the gun in her hand, she bangs the magazine, and attempts to rack it. She's unsuccessful the first time. Officer Noonan is still telling her, pleading with her, trying to de-escalate it. Kelsey, don't do it. She does it again, racks around. As she's picking up the gun, raising the gun, Officer Noonan fires. He fires twice.
But defense attorney Timothy Brattle told the court the evidence will show something very different, that Kelsey Fitzsimmons never pointed the gun at Noonan at all.
Kelsey, no. Kelsey, no. You don't say that when you're staring at the muzzle of a gun pointed at you. You say that to a person who has a gun to their head. On June 30th, 2025, Ms. Fitzsimmons' entire world imploded, was destroyed when her fiancé, Justin Elaine, obtained a restraining order behind her back with unchallenged, untested allegations at the Essex Probate Court. And he took away, at 4:30 in the afternoon, took away custody of her 4-month-old. The evidence will show that Kelsey never pointed a gun at him and that this was a mistake. It was a brain freeze. It was a mechanical thing. It was someone seeing a gun and shooting.
Here's the problem. I said it earlier. There's no body cameras to tell us which version is true. Obviously, that would have helped. Now, here's something else that matters. Kelsey Fitzsimmons waived her right to a jury trial. That means there's no jury in this case, just one person. It's a bench trial. It's Judge Jeffrey Karp deciding her fate. A lot of reasons people would do this. Sometimes they think if it's a complicated legal issue, maybe it's better for a judge to decide this as opposed to a jury who, could be swayed by emotions. Maybe they're not as familiar with the law. So you don't have 12 people in a box. It's just important to keep in mind as you hear these witnesses because they're not talking to the jury. And arguably one of the most important witnesses, the man who pulled the trigger, Officer Patrick Noonan. Noonan testified that he had been with North Andover PD for years. He was a SWAT team member, a firearms instructor, trained in stress shooting. So this is somebody who, by all accounts, shouldn't panic, right? This is not somebody who should be under duress and just wantonly fire their weapon. So in other words, when officers were looking for somebody to serve this restraining order, Noonan claimed he was picked for his experience and his calm under pressure. So on June 30th, Noonan and 2 other officers went to Kelsey Fitzsimmons' home. They knocked. She answered. She was holding her 4-month-old son. They explained the restraining order. They told her they were taking custody of the baby, removing her firearms, and she told them that her guns were in the basement. But as they moved through the house, Noonan noticed something.
I noticed her duty belt on the couch, so I went and checked that. There was no firearm in there, and I observed like a gun case on a mantle. I opened that up, and there was no gun.
Kelsey told him again, the guns are in the basement. And then she apparently asked if she could gather some things for the baby, and Noonan says she actually handed him the baby.
She went to gather some belongings for their son, and she came up and handed me the baby. He was screaming. I was trying to calm him down. I believe she gave me his bottle, and I was trying to feed him, but I'm thinking it can't be too comfortable. I wear an outer carrier vest, and I have all my equipment in the front, so it was kind of hard to cradle him.
Now, Noonan testified he eventually handed the baby off to another officer. Kelsey wanted to go upstairs to pack more clothes for her son, so Noonan and another officer apparently followed her. He stayed on the landing, she went into her bedroom, and he apparently watched her from the doorway.
Yes, she was on one knee when she was wrapping up the clothes, and she pushed off with her left foot and lunged behind the door frame, so to my left to her right. She reappeared with a gun and pointed it right at me and pulled the trigger.
Can you describe or show us how she did that?
Yep, so when she came around the frame here, she came up and clicked.
Okay. Where was it pointed?
My face.
Okay. After it clicked, what happened?
I screamed her name. I was completely shocked. She had the drop on me.
Okay, so that gun didn't fire. Noonan says she cleared the jam, what's called a tap rack, and he was screaming at her to stop.
I drew my weapon. She was already backpedaling, and she was doing what we call a tap rack. Basically, when you do a tap rack, that's when your gun malfunctions. So when you tap the magazine, you want to make sure it's properly seated in the magazine well, and then you rack the upper receiver, or the slide. She did it twice. So the first time she did it, it was slow motion. I could see her hand slide off the top of the receiver. She started moving her way around the bed, and she began tap racking again, and I was yelling at her, "Don't do it, don't do it."
And then what happened?
After she successfully got around in the chamber, her right arm started to come up, and I shot twice in rapid succession.
So after the shots, Noonan says that he and the other officers rushed to help her, and he remembers her saying one word.
We immediately started first aid.
Okay. How so?
Putting pressure on the wound. We wanted to see if there was an exit wound, which there was. So we were trying to stop the bleeding. Officer Houston came running upstairs with a med kit. Lieutenant Daly started to wrap the wounds in gauze, and then Officer Cork came into the room, and I ordered him to secure the weapon.
Did you hear the defendant saying anything after she was on the ground?
It hurts, and I said, just keep breathing. You have a baby to live for.
Okay, but then you go back to cross-examination, right? And Timothy Brattle kept pressing, this time on the shooting itself. In court, Noonan said he fired twice in rapid succession, but this defense attorney pointed out that his initial statement to police may have told a very different story.
Who did you get a call from? Officer Houston. And what was that call about? Was the next question. And your answer was, he had asked me if Lieutenant Daly reached out to me. I said no. Officer Houston said, hey, can you meet me at the CCC, which is a little grade school behind the Atkinson School. He said, we have to serve papers to Officer Kelsey. I said, okay, sounds good. And I drove over to that location and met up with him, right? And
Sure.
You knew those papers were a restraining order for Kelsey to give up the baby, give up her guns, lose her job, brought by her fiance, right?
I had no idea what was entailed in the restraining order at that time.
At what point did you learn the job here?
As far as the restraining order?
As far as this job you were going to do at Kelsey's house.
What job?
The restraining order service, taking the baby, finding the guns,
when I met up with
sectioning her, boxing her in,
when I
putting
met
her
up
into
with Officer
custody.
Houston.
Don't talk when I'm talking, sir. Box.
Hold
Sorry.
on. Let's not argue back and forth and just ask your questions. If you just wait to answer until he's done. If you can restate, thank you.
Sure. So you asked me what the job was. So my suggestion is that the job is serving the restraining order, going to get the baby, finding the guns. You thought about boxing her in and taking her into custody. You thought about sectioning her. That job.
When I met up with Officer Houston behind the CCC.
And at that point, you knew what you were getting into, right?
After he explained what was going on, and we were pretty shocked.
In all of the statements you've made prior to being here yesterday and today, you've never said that you were pretty shocked about anything, have you?
I don't recall.
You weren't shocked. You were treating this like a video game, weren't you?
No.
Let's talk about the bedroom and the shots that you fired. Here in court, you said that those shots were in rapid fire.
Rapid succession, yes.
Okay. And like a boom boom?
Yes.
No, that's not what you said to the state police, though, is it?
That was 8 months ago, right around there. I don't recall. I said I shot twice, possibly.
You told the state police that you pulled the trigger. This is 12:32 in the audio. You told the police that you pulled the trigger once. You said the word once. And then you said, I kept giving commands. And then you said, I pulled the trigger again. That's a completely different scenario than 2 shots in rapid succession, isn't it?
As far as the time frame, I was trying to recall the event as best as possible.
So it's fair to say that talking then it's right after the incident, and now you're here in court. Both of those propositions can't be true, can they?
I'm sorry, what?
The proposition, I'll rephrase it. The proposition that you said here in court, that you made 2 shots in rapid succession.
Yes.
And what you said on July 3rd, 1 shot, giving some commands, another shot. Both of those things can't be true, can they?
They can be true.
They can be true.
Yes.
So rapid succession, and then what? You talk really fast before the second shot?
Oh, I was given commands. Don't do it, don't do it.
Well, that's not what you said. You said you pulled the trigger once. I kept giving commands. I pulled the trigger again.
Yes.
So they're 2 different assertions, aren't they?
No.
Okay, so then this defense attorney shifts to the moments before the shooting, pointing out that Kelsey had been trying to get Noonan to leave the room, that she kept handing him items, asking him to take them downstairs, and the defense says that's not the behavior of someone about to attack. It's someone trying to get officers out of the room.
When you were upstairs with Kelsey, she kept giving you things and asking you to take them downstairs, didn't she?
That's correct.
And she did that with Houston as well, right?
Yes.
So it's fair to say that she was trying to get you away from her, right?
I don't know what her mindset was. I wasn't going to leave her alone.
Sure, let me ask you a better question. The effect of that would have been, if you took things downstairs, that you would have left her.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. That's not consistent with her trying to kill you, is it? She's trying to get rid of you.
Can you ask that question again?
The fact that she's trying to remove you from the area where her gun is not consistent with her trying to kill you, is it?
At that point, no.
And then this defense attorney went after the most glaring detail. Noonan missed, a 20-year veteran, SWAT-trained firearms instructor from close range. The defense says that is not the mark of a cool, collected, calculated professional. They say that is evidence of panic.
So you're a very well-trained SWAT officer, yes?
Yes.
You're a firearms instructor.
No.
You're a patrol instructor, where you instruct
What's
other
a patrol?
officers on the job, right?
Field training officer.
Field training officer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been doing this for 25 years?
No.
20 years?
Right around there, yes.
Okay, so you've been doing this for 20 years. And one of your thought processes was that you wanted to give your training and experience back to the North Andover PD where you started, right?
Yes, and come back where I started.
And here, your first shot, you missed her from about 7 feet away.
I did. It was longer than 7 feet. It was at that point about 15 feet.
15 feet.
I would say.
Do you have any measurements on this?
No, but if you remove the bed and you were to walk diagonal from where I shot, it was probably around 15.
So the first shot you missed her and you hit the air conditioner. Is that right? Or do you know?
I didn't know where it went.
Okay.
And then finally, this defense attorney asked the question that gets to the heart of the defense's case. If Kelsey was pointing the gun at Noonan and he shot her in the chest, she would have fallen backward. So how did the gun end up under her leg? The defense says it's because she wasn't pointing it at him.
She's got the gun out in front of her. She falls on her back. If the gun's underneath her, is this some sort of a magic gun?
I don't know where you're getting at.
Doesn't it make sense that if the gun is out here and she receives a force of a 9mm bullet pushing her back this way, how does the gun get all the way behind her and under her leg?
I have no idea. It's the way she fell.
Okay, from there we go to the man who set all of this in motion, Justin, right? Kelsey's fiance, the father of her child, the man who walked into a courthouse on the morning of June 30th and filed that restraining order that sent those officers to her door. When he took the stand, his testimony was very emotional. And under cross-examination, things got pretty personal. You know, he started from the beginning how he and Kelsey met.
It was September of 2023. She had reached out to me on Facebook. She had seen a picture of me posted on the North Andover Fire Department page. And she was recently going to be getting hired as a North Andover police officer, and she reached out to me on Facebook.
Fair to say you developed a relationship with her?
We did very quickly, yes.
Okay. At some point, did it become more than casual?
Yep, it became more than casual very quickly. Both of us developed feelings very quickly, and that developed into a relationship very quickly as well. And it was about roughly 6 months after that we had initially met that that Kelsey and I had moved in together.
At some point, you guys were living together. You had a baby?
That is correct.
Okay, and when was a boy or girl?
Boy.
Okay. How old now?
He is 13 months old.
Okay. At some point, and I'm going to turn your attention to the weekend of July 28th, 29th, going into Monday the 30th, okay?
Okay.
Did your relationship become strained in any way? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of that, did you decide to do something on June 30th, that Monday?
Yes, I ended up obtaining a restraining order.
Okay.
And he told the court that leading up to that day, he was getting messages from Kelsey that were concerning him.
At some point, were you communicating with the defendant at all?
Yes.
How so?
It started in the morning. It was both texts and phone calls that we were going back and forth with each other. I had requested to see my son. I wanted to make sure that he was okay. She had sent many disturbing messages back and forth to me.
At any point, did you go back there to retrieve some items, the guns, or anything like that?
Yes, the day prior, I had gone to obtain. I knew that I needed to pick up my firearms. I had feared for my son, and I thought that his life was in danger and grave risk.
Now, that part about going back to the house, that's very important because the defense picked up on that and pressed him on that during cross-examination. We're going to come back to that. But on the day of the shooting, he claims Kelsey was trying to get him to meet her.
Now, I'm going to turn your attention, now that we're on the 29th, I'm going to turn your attention to the 30th. You had stated that you had been calling and texting the defendant throughout that day, correct?
Yes.
Were there any plans attempted to be made by anyone?
She had made several attempts to try to get me to meet her at the Common via text message. She had reached out and said, "Can we meet the Common at 2 p.m.?" My initial response back to that was, "For what?" She then again tried to get me to reason with me, to meet me at the Common again. And at that point I said I had no gas, there was no way for me to get there. And she tried to meet up at several points, and I told her that I was not comfortable. I did not feel comfortable being alone with you.
At some point, did you make your way to North Andover?
I did, yes.
Why?
I felt that my son's life was in grave danger and that imminent harm may come to him in the hands of Kelsey.
Okay. And here's the real pivotal moment and how it unfolded. While Kelsey was upstairs with Noonan, her mother had apparently arrived at the house and was downstairs holding the baby. So Justin and his sister Courtney, they pull up, they walk in. Courtney took the baby outside to the car. Justin went back inside to grab a suitcase from the basement, and that is when he apparently heard it. The moment that we showed you earlier from this surveillance footage where Justin says that he was in the basement when he heard something, and that changed everything.
I immediately heard an officer's commands. I heard an officer scream out, "Stop, don't do it." At that point, I had heard several gunshots ring out, and I heard Kelsey's mother screaming. I got into my vehicle. I believe I had made eye contact very briefly with Officer Houston, who was grabbing his medical bag out of his patrol vehicle. I got into my truck, and I immediately pulled a U-turn and drove where I saw my sister running from. Once I got to the other end of the school, I had stopped my vehicle, and at that point I didn't see which direction my sister had gone, so I had stood outside my car yelling her name repeatedly. I wasn't sure where she was or if she was okay.
At some point, did she appear?
She did appear. She came running out behind another house across the way, and she came running over towards me.
And what happened when she got to you?
She got in the vehicle, and then we quickly drove down the road to get away towards Mass Ave in North Andover.
Now, the defense then took Justin back to the day before the shooting, June 29th, and this is where things got very interesting.
You visited the house on the 29th to retrieve your guns, right?
Yes.
In fact, that was your grandfather's safe, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
And you wanted to take that with you, didn't you?
I did, yes, sir.
And you took Kelsey's guns out of that safe and you put them on the bed so that you could take only your guns and your grandfather's safe. Isn't that correct?
I did not take the gun safe, sir.
Isn't that what your intention was until Kelsey asked you not to?
I did leave the gun safe, yes, sir.
you left it because Kelsey asked you to leave it because she needed a place to safely keep her guns, right?
I don't know if that was her intention, sir.
So why does that matter? Because Justin says he feared for his son's life. He was so scared that he went to court to get a restraining order, but the day before all of that, he was inside Kelsey's house moving her guns around, and then he left them there. So the defense is asking, if you really thought she was that dangerous, why would you just leave her with her weapons, right? And the defense went after Justin's credibility also from a different angle. His job. More importantly, that he was under investigation, or apparently under investigation, for something that was allegedly caught on video.
Sir, you're not on the schedule and you're not presently able to work for that department, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
And the reason you were placed on suspension or administrative leave, whatever you call it, is because you have been caught on video many, many times using drugs that are in violation of your department and the town policy, correct?
Allegations were placed against me, and the town has a responsibility to do their due diligence and investigate that matter.
So that's a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here's what's at stake. If the judge rules in favor of the Commonwealth and believes Patrick Noonan's version of events, that Kelsey pointed a gun at him and pulled the trigger, she could be looking at up to 10 years in prison. If he believes the defense, that she never pointed it at anyone, that this was a mistake, that there was a panic situation, she walks. So you can check out our gavel-to-gavel coverage of this case on Law and Crime's YouTube channel. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. We got Sidebar episodes up there too. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. See you next time, everybody.
अल्फ अल्लाह की ज़ात तू ऐ झोर सदके जेड़ो कुल कायनात चलाण आलो अल्फ अल्लाह की ज़ात तू झोर सदके जेड़ो कुल कायनात चलाण आलो हुक्म उस गए बाजना पतर अल्लाह ओ तेरो मेरो वजूद बनाण आलो 18,000 मखलूक गो ऐ मालिक सुनो रब सुनो जमीन आसमान आलो अर्श फर्श लो कलम महफूज कुर्सी जिया जून ना रिज़क खिलाण आलो दाल दुखांगी गल सो नौरे तमना एक बच्ची मासूम रोलाओ गई है दाल दुखांगी गल सो नौरे तमना एक बच्ची मासूम रोलाओ गई है ओ उसकी मारे गुलनाज है बहुत दुखिया ये मारा सीना माँ बर छिलाओ गई है नाओ बच्ची गो अफसा में मूद सोनो रोग उमरा गो सुनी लाओ गई है ओ जिला पुणछ गिरा शिंदरा सोनो ऐ दुखिया दिलाना अफजारो लाओ गई है दाल दर्द जो दयांगा आई बहुत औखा है पर बचागी नारे जो दई होवे दाल दर्द जो दयांगा आई बहुत औखा है पर बचागी नारे जो दई होवे ओ माना सबर करार फिर नहीं रहा तो दख्ते जिगर की जद जो दई होवे ते बाप उसको मैं मुँह दियो सेन दुखिया अफसा जही बची सीने लाई होवे ओ दुख मुझ जावेद माँ बाप नावे ओ बचा किसे ही नारे जो दई होवे तेरे हो रब गा करम तमाम होए आस्तारा अप्रैल ना खुशी भरपूर होई रे हो रब गा करम तमाम होए आस्तारा अप्रैल ना खुशी भरपूर होई ओ अल्लाह पाक ने दिती एक बच्चियों सोनी ऐ गुनाह करांगी अर्ज मंजूर होई दिन माँ दाखिल रही महारात ऐ 10 बजे ऑपरेशन होयो ते टेंशन दूर होई ओ दीती खबर फिर आनी उन डॉक्टरां ने हो गई बची पर बड़ी कमजोरी होई सलाह दीती वीर डॉक्टर है कमजोर बची ले गए बीच मशीन रखाओ दीती सलाह दीती डॉक्टर है कमजोर बची ले गए बीच मशीन रखाओ दीती 18-19 तक रखी पुणछ अंदर और फिर इकी नर जोरी कराओ दीती आई रात 9 बजे मामू आई नानी दोए गड्डी तरफ जोरी चलाओ दीती ओ मासा देरी ना लाई ले चल गया ओ 12 बजे जोरी पहुंचाओ दीती किसना चैन सकून फिरे आई उस दिन तो रास्ता बिच डाडा परेशान होया आई किसना चैन सकून फिरे आई उस दिन तो रास्ता बिच डाडा परेशान होया रात 12 बजे जोरी पुजया कि जल्दी डॉक्टरां कोल रवाने होया ऐ डॉक्टर नब्ज तके मुतू ये बोल न सके असली राज तू बे वो हैरान होया ओ अमानत रब की है तम सबर करियो ए आपसा बची गारू वे रवान होया किसना ओश रे ओ सुनी ये खबर जिस दम आया है आप जायमना छोड़ गई है ऐ किसना ओश रे ओ सुनी ये खबर जिस दम आया है आप जायमना छोड़ गई है ये एम्बुलेंस करी वापस पुणच चलना मारी किस्मत अज मुकरे मोड़ गई है आई गुल नाज अवानी अरे ए मान बाकी मेरी खुशी ना किंगा तू रोड़ गई है दाखिल विच अस्पताल थी पुणछ अंदर ये मांगुल नाज गो दिल क्यों तोड़ गई है अप्रैल महीना सुबह गए ऐ 5 बजे वतन शींदरा पुजे आयान सदके अप्रैल महीना सुबह गए ऐ 5 बजे वतन शींदरा पुजे आयान सदके ये माना 10 बजे एम्बुलेंस आने ये तेरा तकन गाया अफजायर मान सदके पे कितना दुख था महंगा है काल जामा जाने वाया रब रहमान सदके और वे बाप महमूद परवेज नानी नाले रोवे सजाद यवान सदके कफन दफन गोविलो हुणे यार गयो इना दुकाना हुण मीटौरे किसरा कफन दफन गोविलो हुणे हार गयो इना दुकाना हुण मीटौरे किसरा ओ जीता मांगे बचा गो टूर जानो इस शेर बर कलम चनो किसरा ते अच्छा रब वाले हुणे है छोड़ गई है तीना सिना नाड़ू हुण लो किसरा सबर या तो नी दिल मां याद तेरी रोता दिला ना चुप करूं किसरा पिया मान इना दुखाने है मुकनो नी 4 बजे रे आपका दफनाओ छोड़ी है पिया मान इना दुखाने है मुकनो नी 4 बजे रे आपका दफनाओ छोड़ी वतन पुणछ गिरा शिंदराय अंदर ओ सोनी निकी जी कबर बनाओ छोड़ी सबर करियो महमूद गुल नाज दोए मानत रब गी रब ने छुपाओ छोड़ी ओए पिया मान जावे तू इजाजत ले ले जख्म मोड़ी भी क्यों रे दुखाओ छोड़ी